Okay, well, this is an exciting new way of trying to do the code plant. Let's see, we have somebody here. And let me open up the chat. Yes, it's only girls so far, so it really is true that the girl power is going to win the day. Next time we have a code jam and everybody's together, the girls are going to take it this time, I think. So today on this, I think we're going to do something quite exciting, but because we have the two-way interaction, because you guys can hear me and you can also speak and ask questions, we're going to try to do it a little bit slower today. We're just going to focus on one thing, and it's a cool thing. It's going to be making a game, and we're going to make a game a couple different ways. We're going to make the same game, and it's a game you guys probably are familiar with called rock, paper, scissors. Are you familiar with that game? Yeah, it's a pretty simple game, rock, paper, scissors. And so we're going to do that game in 3 different ways, 3 different kinds of code. And I think we're also going to be able to share and do a little bit of interactions with our code. So before we do anything, I want to show you guys this new command, because I know a couple weeks we were focusing on the right-hand side here, code in the editor, and we looked at writing some of that code. If I load up some of it here.
Is Isabella connected yet?
I think she is connected. I'm not sure if she's hearing us or not, but I do see that she's connected. And what I added was this ability to share the code that you write in here with each other. And so this is something that I'm going to be able to publish code to you guys as examples, and then you guys are going to be able to share your code to me and I can check it. So that's, I think, going to be a cool feature, and I would like to test that out just quite quickly here. I'm going to go publish code, which is a new command, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to give it example 1. And you should get a pop-up there that says example 1. Yeah? Did you guys get that? Yeah? Cool. So if you go into your editor tab, you'll see on the load now, when you press load, you should see that example 1 should be there now. And if you press it, you should get the same code that I had here on the right. Is that working for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a lot of points.
Yeah. A lot of what?
Points.
Yes. That's because I test things all the time. My points are sort of inaccurate. So I'll show you, we're going to get into making a game just now, but just to test this out. So if I go back here, if I do run code, it'll run my code. And the same thing will happen on your side. If you go to your terminal and type run code, you should get the same as me here, that thing we built on the stream a couple weeks ago, where it was sort of a little job description of a coder.
So you're a programmer, not a coder.
Programmer, exactly. So what this is going to allow us to do in future streams is when we write code, if you guys have an error, if something doesn't work, if you're like, I don't understand what's happening, you'll be able to just come here on your side. On my side, I publish it. On your side, you just have to say share code. So if you just say share code and hit enter, it will then share the code to me. In the future, we might get to sharing code with each other, but for now, it'll just share to me. So to test that out, why don't you go in your editor and change the name here to your name. So put your name.
Great.
Yeah. And then just go over, when you've changed it, go back over and run share code. And that should send that code over to me if everything works without any bugs.
Do we have to have the Codeplant live thing open now?
To run that, yes. Yeah.
I haven't had it open yet. Yeah.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Yeah, I can't do it now because I'm.
You might split the screen. Sometimes between Zoom, you put on one side of the screen and you put the browser on the other. That might be a way to do it. Do you have the Codeplant Live open as well, Leah?
Yes.
Okay. Did you try the share code command?
Not yet.
Okay.
Just gonna make you guys as small as I can make you. You're gonna be
Yeah.
tiny.
You can set that up, Braden, you're right. Zoom allows you to decide how you want to position things on the screen. Okay, so there, I just got code from Leah. So what I can do is here, I can go and load, and you should see here, Leah, and it has the time. And the reason I put the time is in one session, you might do that a couple times. And I just want to see which one is the most current. So if I click
How
that.
do you get your example code?
Oh yeah, let me resend that to you. Sorry. I need to just, you had to be online to get that. So I'm going to go example one.
Isabella just sent me her microphone's not working. She's gonna switch to her laptop now.
Okay. Example one. Okay, so Braden, you should get now example one.
Thank you.
Now, if you go into this tab, you can load up example one. This is just a test of this for now. And like I said,
is it CSS or Java or HTML?
When you press the load button, then you should see this saved projects pop up.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh. And I see I got Leah's code from earlier. So everything seems to be working there. And that's great. Like I said, we're going to use this in the future much more when we write more and more code. But I thought today we would take a little bit of a slower approach, like I said, and just spend a little bit of time reviewing and catching up on making games. We're going to do two things. We're going to make, like I said, rock, paper, scissors. And we're going to make one of them in an arcade game where we'll be able to, each of us will be able to draw pictures. And then just to start, I have this little device called a microbit, and we'll be able to use this live in the next code jam. But this is a little piece of hardware here that if you look on the screen, there's a little environment that Microsoft has made that can program this, and it has lights and all kinds of different things on it. Just going to start up a new project here. But I've already programmed in rock, paper, scissors, the game. So if I press it, you'll see here it starts with 1, 2, 3. That's paper. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3. That's paper. So I win. 1, 2, 3. That's scissors. So I win again. 1, 2, 3. That's rock. He wins that time. So you see that the basic idea of the program is I press this button and it starts a countdown, 1, 2, 3, and then it shows me either a rock or paper or scissors randomly. So that's really the code. There's the scissors.
Is it a microbit? Is it a microbit?
Yes, this is on the microbit. Yeah. Braden, will you keep an eye on the chat?
Yes.
Cool. And if anybody chimes in there. Okay, so this is what we're going to start with today. We're going to make this, and you could be surprised at how simple it will be to make this. And then I'm going to walk you through how I made this on the microbit, and then we're going to make it in an arcade game where we'll draw our own rock and our own papers and our own scissors, because my drawings aren't that great. So if you see here, I'm going to go back to the
I went to the chat and I thought it was Codeplant Live, and I wanted my thing to be cleared, so I typed in cleared. I just remembered we can't do that.
Oh, okay, I see. So, okay, I'm loading up my code, and I'm going to go to the blocks because we're not going to do JavaScript yet. We're going to start here with our blocks, and you'll see that all of my program works on this one function. And you see here, you can even see the numbers in there. We're gonna talk through this. And on the left-hand side is the actual microbit. It's like a simulator, and I can bring it up. And just to show you what the microbit does, it has these two buttons here, A and B, and then it has a bunch of LED lights. Each one of these we can turn on and off. So we can use this almost like a screen. And then down here, it has a couple things that we can do, electrical clippings and stuff. And I haven't played around with that yet. So maybe when we're together, we can all experiment, because we've got two of these we can use. But here on the A button, it starts to count down. You'll see rock. Rock. Now let's just go back and look at the code. It seems to be randomly picking rock quite a lot.
If we did rock, paper, scissors, I'd always choose paper.
Always chooses rock. Okay, so we're going to look at, first of all, if you ever remember from the code.org programming games that we did way back then, was this thing called an event. And that's basically what this button is. It's when this button is pressed, we want to run some code. So that's called an event. So all of this in here. And the first thing that we need in a game like rock, paper, scissors is we need the computer to make a move, right? We need the computer to choose either rock, paper, or scissors. And so in this case, we used something called a variable, which I'm not sure if code.org used variables, but this is quite an advanced concept that wow, Braden's filter just went freaky. She just disappeared.
You fixed it.
Yep. So I set the variable here, and it has this little helper on the left-hand side under math. It has this little helper called pick random between. So it's basically 0 to 10. I can use this to make the computer pick a random number. So here, I've basically just chosen 1 to 3, because that's what our computer moves will be. 1 will be rock, 2 will be paper, and 3 will be scissors. So all we're doing here is on the left-hand side, there's this thing where we can store any value we want. It's almost like making a note for yourself, where I say, at this point, I want to write down what the computer chose, because later on, I want to look at it again. I want to look it up again. And so that's what a variable is. And here, we're setting that variable to either 1, 2, or 3. And then what we're doing, hold on one second, guys. Okay, it looks like Isabel able to start joining. So I might back up just a little bit, guys, so that she can catch up. It didn't pop up. Hello? Oh, Braden, I see what you were saying. Okay. Are you there, Isabella? I think so. Okay, I'm going to go backwards just a little bit to what we were doing. So if Isabella can hear us, you could type something into the Zoom chat maybe and tell us that you can hear us. If you just type it in here to everyone.
She just muted herself, I think. Yeah, she said she could hear. I just saw.
Ah, okay, great. Okay, so I'll just retrack. It's good to have you with us, Isabella. So I'll just retrack a little bit to what we're doing tonight. We're going to try to build rock, paper, scissors in 3 different ways. And so I was using this example that I showed that it's a microbit that in the next gathering, when we get together and do the code jam, we'll play with one of these. But this is a little device that you can program using this interface. And I've already made this little program for rock, paper, scissors. If I press the button, it starts counting down, and then it gives me either paper and scissors, or rock is the other one. Let's see if it gets there this time. No, that's paper again, but you get the idea. And so tonight, there's rock. So tonight we're going to try to build this simple little program. First, I was going to show you, I'm walking through how we built this. And it's very similar to the code.org blocks and the things that they were doing there. So on this screen, I was starting to walk through the program that you can see here, that this is the same as this microbits. And so I was able to walk through, just unplug the battery so we don't use all of our battery. So I can write code here in the browser and with my blocks, and then it will export onto the microbit. And similar to the ways that we could do it also for the robots the week before. So in this, we talked about in code.org's. Okay. Is it any better now? I'm going to turn off my video for the moment and see if that helps. Am I breaking up for you as well, Leah?
No.
Okay, then I'll continue on. I think she just turned off her video, which makes sense. You can turn yours off too if it saves bandwidth, and we can turn it on when you have a question, and you can keep your mic on and off depending if you have a question. That's up to you. So here, I'm walking through this simple program. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and you'll be able to see that this whole program is really just 3 simple pieces. Okay, there's up here at the top, I pick a number for the computer to make its move. And this is, we said, this is like storing a note for myself. In code.org, they talked at the end, some of the later lessons about variables, where you can, in your program, you can decide to store some information that you can go back to later. It could be anything you want to store. It could be a name of something. It could be a number. That's what we're using this time. I created a variable called hand. And at the beginning, we're just having it set to a random number, either 1, 2, or 3. And that allows us to use it as sort of the move that the computer would make in rock, paper, scissors. So the first thing we do after we get the computer's move here is we clear out the screen, the LEDs on our microbit. And then we start this countdown. And we have a little block for pausing. So we can pause it for 75 milliseconds. So if you know about milliseconds and seconds, there's 1,000 seconds in 1 second. So that means 75 milliseconds is very quick. So it's only going to pause just a little bit, and then it's going to move on to the next block, which will draw a 1, and then it'll pause again for a little bit, and it will draw a 2, and then it will draw a 3, and then it will clear it, and then we have a simple block here called an if, and that's what they called a decision. You basically get to decide if something is true, I want to run my code. It's sort of like up here when we said, if I push this button, we want all of this code to run. So here we can say, okay, we've pushed the button. We get down here, we can now say again, only if our hand, our variable that we set earlier, only if it's a 1 do we want to show the rock. If it's a 2, we want to show paper. And if it's a 3, we want to show scissors. So those are the 3 choices. And that's exactly what our code does. If we press the button, you'll see you can walk right through it here. If I press the button A, the first thing is it clears, and then it gives 1, 2, 3, pause. And then obviously here, the computer's move was what number, Braden? Number 2. Yeah, because that's what was shown here on the left was the number 2 choice, which is paper. So what I'd like to do, having just talked through that very basic, I want us to build that and you guys watch, and maybe there's a way we can share a drawing of rock, paper, and scissors. So I'm gonna go back to this tab for a second, because this same makecode.com that we started at has that arcade feature where Braden built her Sharky game a couple weeks ago. And in this is the same interface that we had what we just built. So I'm going to choose rock, paper.
Breaking up. I can't
Scissors.
hear you properly.
Okay,
You're
Braden.
breaking
Okay, it seems to be just for you, Braden. So you could mute yourself and come here into the room.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this MakeCode arcade, you see it's very similar to what we had here. We have the same exact options. We can drag blocks out and we can make our program. In MakeCode arcade, we also have buttons here, A, B, that we can press. In the future, we can also, hi, Isabella.
Hi.
Oh, great. We can hear you. We can see you. It's so good to see your face and to meet you. One day we'll meet you in 3D, but it's good to have you on the call. And I hope this new format can work out for all of us. And feel free to pause us and ask any questions, or stop if you have a question. So it's good to have you here. So I'm going to continue on. Do you have any questions at this point, Isabella?
No.
Okay, great. So as we said, when we're building our rock, paper, scissors, we can start almost the same as with the microbit, because we can also start on an event when the button is pressed. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this on the A button pressed, and that will allow me to write all my code that'll go when the A button is pressed. Actually, I shouldn't have taken that away. Let me take that back, because I actually want to do some things when we first start. When we first start, I want to choose the background color so that my pictures of rock and paper and scissors can look nice. So I can go here under my scene, and I have one of the tiles where I can say set background image. I can do either a color or an image. So this, if I want to do an image, I can choose one from the gallery. I can draw one. So when you make your own, you can choose what you would like to do. For this one, I'm going to actually use a color. So I'm going to go back to scene, and you'll see that the one above that is set background color. So I'm just going to choose a simple bright color like yellow. So oops, I put it in the wrong place. I don't want to put it in there, the button. I want to put it on the start. So when the game starts up on the left, it immediately turns yellow. So that's what I'm seeing there now. When my game starts, I get a yellow background. Okay. So like on the other one, the first thing we want to do when our button is pressed is we want to figure out what is the move that the computer is going to make against us in rock, paper, scissors. So we need to make a note, and we need to have the computer choose something. And so we're going to use this block called make a variable. And like we said before, the variable is just a simple idea of I'm making a note at the beginning of my program, because later in my program, I want to read that note back. I want to do something with that. That's a simple idea. And so here I'm going to say robot move, because that's, well, let's call it computer's move, because I'm playing against the computer. Computer move. So I've created now a note for myself, and this block, it's created a couple blocks for me. It's created one that I can use anytime I want to read that again and see what is the computer's move. And then it's created one where I can set that to anything. So I can decide what I want the note to be. And then I can change the note as well with this third block. So I'm going to do this first one here, the second one, sorry, set computer move to. Now, we said earlier, in rock, paper, scissors, there can only be 3 moves, rock, paper, or scissors. So we need the computer to choose one of those, 1, 2, or 3. And it's easy. On the left-hand side under math, there's a great block called pick random. And that allows us to pick a random number between any 2 numbers. So here I can just say between 1 and 3. So right now, when I press this A, it's going to pick a random number between 1 and 3, and then it's going to assign that to this computer move variable or note. So I can then check what that is and decide what the computer's move was. And that's what I'm going to use to show the picture on the screen, either a rock or a paper or a scissor. Brayden is fading in and out with her filters. I think maybe test it with the camera off for a moment. Okay, so the computer has now made a move when I press this button, but nothing else is happening. We don't know what that move is. We have no way of seeing what did the computer move. So that's where we need to now write a little bit more of a program to show on the screen. So if we go back to look at my code here as our example, right? We said here, once our computer picks a number between 1, 2, and 3, we need to start a countdown, okay? And then we need to choose, did it choose 1, 2, or 3, and show the right picture. So we're gonna start with this side of it. We're gonna start by being able to draw some pictures. So there's a section on the left called logic, where we can get this block that'll help us make decisions. That's all that really does, is we can now use this to decide what code will run and what code won't run. And whatever we put in this little area here is what is going to decide that for us. So if we look at our example here, we can put our variable in there. We can check, is our variable equal to 1? Is our variable equal to 2? Is our variable equal to 3? So over here, I can show you how to set that up. There's a nice block here under logic that is a comparison, and I can just drag that out and put it right inside of there. And then for comparison, I don't want to compare 0 and 0. I want to compare my note. This is where I want to go now look up, what did I store in that computer move note? So I can go back to variables and I can pull that out. And this guy will give me that variable. So this is basically going to say, if the computer move was equal to 0, then do this code. But we know it can't equal 0 because we're only choosing a number between 1 and 3. So the first thing I need to change is that. And now we have a block that will run if our computer has chosen the number 1. I can duplicate this because we know we need 3 of these. And I can say 2 and 3. Now we have a bit of logic in our program. We have, when I press this button, the computer will pick a number between 1 and 3, and then we can choose what code will run. Right now, there's no code running. It's just 1, 2, and 3, but we can now show different pictures on the screen, just like we did in our other program here, where if it's a 1, we drew rock. If it's 2, we drew paper. And if it's 3, we drew scissors. But in our game on this side, we can draw much better pictures than what I could draw in the microbit one. So on this game, on the left-hand side here, there's an option called sprites. And we talked about this, I think, in one of the earlier streams very briefly, but a sprite is just a fancy name for something that we put into our game that we want to move around and we want to do stuff with it. And the first tile here, we can drag in and we can say, okay, if our move equals 1, we can set my sprite. I want to change this. I can change these to something that makes more sense. I'm going to say this is the computer move image, because this is going to be the image that I'm going to show on the screen to show what the computer's move was. Okay, here I'm going to draw either rock, paper, or scissors, but I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. And the first one here, this is where my art skills aren't fantastic, but I'm going to draw a rock first, and I'm sure you guys are much better at drawing these sort of things. I'll show you in a little bit on this how if you draw your own on your side, you can share it with me and I can actually use it in my side. Let me just draw a little bit here. This is my rock and I'm going to color it in brown. Okay, so there's my rock. If the computer picks a 1, I'm going to show a rock. If the computer picks a 2, I'm going to show paper. So let me draw a quick picture for paper. This is a really fun tool to draw with. If you haven't played around with this, this is I have a lot of fun making pixel art with this as well. Let me clear that out and I'll make this white. So this will be my paper. Maybe put a little bit of scribble as if somebody wrote a couple, whoops, I can undo that, as if somebody wrote 1 or 2 words on here. This is my paper. Now I need 1 more, and that's my scissor. So I'm going to use this circle tool here, and the circle tool will draw me sort of a circle, squarish circle. And then
It's not really a circle.
Braden says it's not really a circle. Braden's the artist in the family, not me. So this is where I think you'll be able to draw better and send it over to me when I show you the other options. So I'm just going to do lines out here. So you can see this is where my art skills go bad. It doesn't look very much like scissors. So we got rock, paper, and scissor. So we immediately should be able to see when I press the A button, one of those 3 should pop up. There's paper. Oh, look, it's writing on rock. We've got a bug in our program. It's writing it on top of itself. You see how it's just adding on top. So that, I don't know, sweetheart. Okay, so let me go back to here and look at that. This is quite common when we do our programs, is we've now got what seems like it should work, except that the computer, like I said many times, isn't very smart. We have to now think about, why is the computer not understanding what we're trying to tell it? There's something that it is misunderstanding, and that's usually the part about programming that gets the most frustrating. But if we can learn to do that well, and if you even see it as fun, I like it. I like to try to figure out why the computer isn't understanding what we're trying to do, then you can really get advanced in your programming. So right now, I think I know what's happening here is that we keep creating a new variable each time, right? So we're actually going into here and we're creating a new variable each time. And that's just, we're not removing, we're not clearing anything. We're just constantly putting an image on top of each other. So if you remember from our example here, this simple example, we did something at the beginning. We cleared out all the LEDs and then we started a counter. So we could do a similar thing here, and that should help us clear out. Did you hear an echo there? Oh, you turned on your microphone there. Okay. That should help us not get our images on top of one another like we're getting now, where the scissors comes out on top of the rock and the rock comes out on top of the paper. Okay, so that's easy to do. So what I'm going to do is copy this set image, and here I'm just going to remove this, or actually just get this clear one that's empty and replace it there. And now every time we press the button, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to clear out our image so that it shouldn't overlap. So let's just see if that works. Paper. Yeah. Okay, that's, oh, I'm still seeing some overlapping there. So it's not quite doing it for us. Maybe we need a bit of a pause in there. If you look here at our example, we do have pauses here for the computer to actually take its time and actually draw that, because one of the things that takes the most power in the computer is when it's drawing things on the screen. That's this process that takes the longest, and it's the slowest. It's the most hard work for the computer. So we need to give it a little bit of a pause so that it can do its work. So let's see, we'll pause here for 1 second, and we will now try and see. 1 second pause, we get a rock. And it's still not clearing out, or it's giving us rock again. Still overlapping there. So let's we're going to start our variable slightly differently here. We're going to we're going to try to see if this fixes our problem now. So we're going to create a blank image at first, and then we're going to reset it. And okay, I'm not sure what you'd like. There we go. So that seems to be working now. It's clearing off. So the basic logic of our game, we already have now, and we can now look at it and add other logic to it. And one of the things I wanted to show you guys is if we wanted to share images, let's say. I remember one time I mentioned earlier on the stream that up at the top here, we can see the JavaScript code. Now, we're not going to write the JavaScript now. I just want you to see that there's a part here where every image that I created, there's the blank one, there's the rock one. If I expand the code here, right, I can copy this code right here, which is the drawing. If you see, it looks, you can see the E's and the F's. Each one of those represents a different color, whether it's black or brown. You can copy this and send it over to me. I could paste it in here. So at the beginning of the stream, I showed that you can share code. I'm going to clear here. This is JavaScript that I copied. So you could paste this in, and I didn't copy the right thing. Let me go back here. I could paste this in here, and you'll see here. Let me grab that out of the way. And see, this is that same JavaScript image. I could share this code by just saying share code. And now on the side here, everybody should now be able to load that up. And the other would be true. So if you were pasting it and sharing it to me, I would be able to then come here and grab it and paste it in, and we could see what your drawing was like. So it's just another way we can start to share code together and interact. So is there any questions at this point right now about what we've built so far before we add anything else to it? No? Braden, no questions? Okay. Leah, still good?
Yeah, just do that.
Okay. So one of the things you'll notice, and this is important about programming, is that we do things in little blocks. And so that's one thing that I'm trying to show you guys, is that I didn't try to do everything at once. In fact, I started by just doing a little bit that started working and then adding on. And this is a concept when we're building and writing code. They call it the MVP. You might have heard of MVP, like most valuable player, but it's not the same thing. It's like the most simple that you can build and still have your program work. So I think this is an MVP. This is the simplest version of rock, paper, scissors that we can make. But at this point, usually we start to collaborate with other programmers to get other ideas. And we start to ask people like, what do you think we could add to this game that would make it better, would make it cooler? Besides the images being nicer than what I've drawn, what else do you think we could add here that would just make the game a bit more fun for the player? Any ideas? The question was, what could we add to the game if you're playing it? So the dragon would explain yourself? What? So you're saying if it would be more fun if we, instead of the images of a hand, rock, paper, and scissors, if we actually did a dragon that's playing the game.
Dragon's fingers.
Dragon's fingers. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's not an actual rock, but a dragon fist, and not an actual paper, but a dragon hand, and then not an actual scissors, but a dragon hand doing this. Okay, okay. That's interesting. Any ideas on your side, Isabella? Any thoughts that what we could add to the game to make it more fun?
No.
No? It's fun enough already for you. Okay. Yes. Okay. Do you have any questions?
How many dragons a princess is my dragon? I mean, like half dragon, half human.
No, I'm not a good enough artist to draw half dragons and half humans. Braden's got some great ideas there, but she's yeah, it's let me show you guys one other thing. Because I don't think we can add dragons to it, but I want to show you guys something very cool on another one of these tabs. I'm going to show you here. So this is something that I got an invitation to, and it's basically an artificial intelligence. It's like a robot that can write code, and you don't have to actually know how to write code to tell it what to do. So I can actually say to this, make me a rock, paper, scissors game. Not you guys, watch, it's the, let me see, website. So if I just say that, make me a rock, paper, scissors, on the right-hand side over here, you'll see that it starts to spit out some code. That's making a game. What do you think, Braden? Oh, Braden thought it was funny that I said spitting out code, but it does look to me like it's writing all this code so quickly. And it's got this feature that at the end, I can actually, let me see, I can export this code and see what it looks like. So it's sort of like what we do on Codeplant Live. After you write the code, you export it. So if I go here, this is the exported code of that game. So check that out. Look, all I did was to say, please make me this game. And this is what the code does that I run. So let me click here, run. And you'll see rock, paper, scissors, choose your weapon. So I can choose rock, I can choose paper, or I can choose scissors. So it says the computer chooses rock, tie. Ah, they've got a bug in their program. The computer didn't write a perfect program because that's not a tie for scissor, what I chose. So let me run it one more time. Choose rock. Yes, okay, now it says it's a tie. Let's try paper. Yeah, so it's always choosing rock as a tie. So there's a bug in the computer's code, but it did write the basics that we could then begin to now go in if we wanted to. So we're not going to get into all of that, but I just wanted to show you guys how the things are changing and that right now we're learning to write this code. We're learning to make games with these blocks. But all of it boils down to learning how to tell the computer what we want. What we want to see back. And the same thing here. I wrote a very simple instruction here, make the game, but it still had a lot of errors in it because I didn't give it enough information. I just gave it enough for it to guess at it. And that's really what we're trying to learn here. We only have two goals really with this level of coding. We're trying to learn how to figure out why the computer isn't doing what we want. And there's a lot of different tools that we can use to do that. We're using today, again, this microbit and make code arcade. And then the other thing I would like you guys to learn at this level, besides making these simple games, is to write a simple website, like we said here earlier, by learning a bit of basic HTML, basic CSS, and basic JavaScript. We'll be able to learn how to make a website. I think it was Isabella who asked, how do you make a website last week? And that's basically one of the basic things we're going to do besides making games with the make code. And I think it happened before you were on the stream, but do you also have the Codeplant live environment open on your side, Isabella?
Let
Just
me
the
just
Zoom.
quickly go and check. Either.
Because I wanted to show you just what I showed the other guys when we first started, where I can now share code to your side as well. When you're on that, let me know.
Okay.
Are you? Yeah.
No, not yet.
Okay. Does it take a while to load that on your side, the Codeplant website?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to look into that and try to get it to load faster. I think it's because of the way that the games are loading, because there's a lot of games in the back loading all at once, but I'm going to try to fix that so it loads a bit easier.
Okay.
But let me know when it's loaded up.
Okay.
Did you have any questions, Leah?
No.
Okay.
Not right now.
Okay, great.
Now I'm loaded in.
Okay, so what I added was this ability to share, and I can publish examples now from this editor here. So I just loaded up this example, which is a basic web page that I did a couple weeks ago on the stream with an image and some paragraphs and some headings. And I can now go here and publish and say example 1. And on your side now, you should get a pop-up like I just got that says example 1. And you can then load example 1 by going onto the right-hand side and using this load button at the bottom of the second tab. And you should see an example 1 that pops up. When you click that, it should now show you the code that was in my screen is now on your side.
Right. Can you just quickly send it again, please?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
on the right-hand side, if you go to the second tab,
Yeah. Okay.
and then at the bottom, you'll see a load button that's yellow. If you click the load button, that should pop up a window that allows you to choose example 1.
Oh, there it goes. All right, I got it.
And if you click it, it then should pop up the code. And I was saying you could change the name there to your name from my name, and then you could test out that code on your side.
Okay.
And the way you could test that out is after you change the name, you can click back to this first tab and just say run code, and that will run the code that's in that editor at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Did that work?
I'm just doing run code.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
it worked.
Awesome. Okay, so this is basically what you see there as an example is the beginning of every website on the internet. Even the most advanced websites you'll see really are built with these basic tools. I think of a website like Legos often, where you get Legos of all kinds of different pieces and shapes, and if you know how to put those Lego pieces together correctly, you can make very specific things like maybe an elephant or a dinosaur or a spaceship. It's very similar like that when we're making websites. This is the most basic, what I showed you here, what we did in the previous stream, where we're just using some of the most basic elements. So we're not really doing much styling, and we're not really running any real live code like JavaScript. But we'll be able to, okay, Braden has a question.
Why are you going to show them my website?
Which website thing?
The book one where I used to put my books in.
Okay, yeah, we can put that in there as well. So Braden has an example that I can bring up of another kind of a website. So Braden's got a project that she's working on to sell used books. And so there's a lot of books that she's been collecting to sell of all different categories. And this is a little website that we're working on that this is just the link to it. So we'll get there. Braden's book app, and once it loads up, you'll see it allows you to enter in the information about a book, and then it stores and saves that information. And while it's loading up, it has this thing I can just draw. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna save this.
Okay. And this started out as a DVD library, and that's basically allows us to enter in the name of a movie, let's say, movie, whoops.
Movie.
Let's say it's 2022. It's a movie in the future starring
Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston. Brad Pitt, okay. And then genre is comedy. Oops. And how many stars do you give it? 3 stars.
No.
And then if I submit it, you'll see here that now this information went into the website into a database so that when Braden comes back, she can go and see what was entered in before. And this is the kind of stuff that I mean. If I look on the left-hand side, this is some code that I'm writing for Braden. She hasn't written this yet. So she's just watching and learning. But I've written code here, this JavaScript, that allows us to save this stuff in. But even the JavaScript might look advanced, but even underneath it all, if you look here, we've still just got our image tag, like we've already learned. It's still the same. That's this image right here. It's the same as what we did when we were looking at the images around ballet and gymnastics and skateboarding. It's just pointing to a place on the internet where our image is sitting, and we're saying we want it to be 300 pixels wide. So this is an example of something that we can work up to and build that's more advanced. So what I want us to start is between making these games. Tonight we made this simple rock, paper, scissors in 3 different ways. We did it in first the microbit, and then we did it in Make Code Arcade, and then we did it in this artificial intelligence. We let the computer write it, and of all of them, the computer's one didn't work exactly right, but ours, after we fixed the bugs, we got ours to work. And I'm also able to share the images from this. It's quite cool. You can just save this and it creates an actual image that you can drag into your browser. Or, so if you create your own game, you can share it with the rest of us. But this is a cool feature too. If I publish this, and I'm going to send this to the chat right now so you guys can all see it. If I copy this, then you should all get the code. I'm going to put that into this, the chat on Zoom. Actually, that might not, so that's not the right, don't worry about that. This is something much simpler. Sorry, try this one. The second one is much simpler. That should give you the link to go right into this same, what we just built, rock, paper, scissors. And you can even start editing this code at the top. You can press edit code. And then you can draw your own pictures of rock, paper, and scissors, because you'll probably have much more creativity around it than me. But that will be your starting point. And that's something that you guys can do. And we're also having a stream, because we missed last week. We're going to have this stream with Zoom again on Thursday night. And so we can pick up from here and we can go into other directions as well. Maybe continuing on to make our website and sharing codes back and forth. Is there any other questions before we wrap up for tonight?
No.
No, it's so great to have you and to see you, Isabella, and for you to get to meet Leah and Braden even briefly. We look forward to meeting you in person. And yeah, you girls are rocking. I'm so pleased that it's girls learning to code. That means Braden has company in the coding world.
Last week I was almost going to be by myself.
Okay, well, thank you guys for joining. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or send it through your parents as well. If you get stuck on anything, I really want you to succeed and to learn. So let me know if there's any issues or questions.
Email.
All right. Have a great evening.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.